Hey guys, it's Miss Miller. I'm going to try to do this video a little bit differently, so hopefully it works out that way. I can show you what's on my iPad as well as what's on my computer, so I'm trying to do this differently. We'll see if it works. Anyway, we're moving into quadratic regression. So we had been talking about exponential, and we kind of talked about exponential regression, and now we're going to go back to quadratics and talk about regression with it. So let's do a little review question. This first one says, how do you find the equation of a line containing the points -2, 5, and 6, 2? Y'all, this one is a stat calc 4. Don't sit here and work it out by hand. Stat calc 4. So you pull up your calculator and you're going to, I'm going to clear it. Clear your calculator. Now I'm going to press stat, enter, stat, enter, and then I'm going to press in L1, I put all my x values. So I'm putting in -2 and 6. -2, enter, 6, enter. And then I'm going to arrow over. In L2, I'm going to put my y values. So I'm going to put in 5 and 2. 5, enter, 2, enter. Then I press stat, arrow over to calc, press the number 4, enter until you can't no more. There's my equation. There's my slope. There's my y-intercept. So now, all I have to write down is my answer. Y equals -0.375 x plus 4.25. Stat calc 4. Okay, if we look at this next one, it says, how do you decide if the data is linear, quadratic, or exponential? So the first one, I've got the word linear, and inside that word linear, I literally have this word line. I literally have the word line. And if you remember, the parent function that we get all other linear functions from is y equals x. Probably should have done that in a different color. Let's just pick a different color. Y equals x. And this is just a straight line going through 0, 0, the origin, and going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. That's the slope, because the slope right here in front of the x is 1. If I look at the second one, actually I want to skip the second one. I want to do this in order of the way we learned it. So let's go over to quadratic real quick. If I go over to quadratic, remember quadratic has a u in it. That's what it looks like. The graph for this is called a parabola. Parabola. Oops, that's an over there. Parabola. The parent function for this is y equals x squared. When x has a little baby 2, it makes it into a parabola. And this is where the parent function starts at 0, 0, and it increases on both sides like this. That's the parent function for a parabola. If I look at exponential, this is the one we just got done talking about. This parent function is y equals a times b to the power of x. And this power of x here is what makes it exponential. It's got the variable as an exponent. And exponential functions grow like this. So it's not growing at a constant rate. So if you look at these examples, use quadratic regression to find the equation of these data sets. So the steps for this, which let's write them out to the side over here. To do this, you're going to press stat, edit, calc, option, and then 5. So those are the steps, and you're going to use X as your L1, Y is your L2 when you go to plug it in. So let's look at our calculator. I'm going to go ahead and clear it. Second plus 7, 1, 2, enter. Okay, so again, I'm going to press stat, edit, whoops, go back, stat, edit. You can arrow down, or you can press 1. Once you get here, you are going to plug in your data. So again, in L1, I'm going to put in 2.9, enter, 3.9, enter, 4.7, enter, 5.6, 6.9, 7.7, and 8.5. It's a lot harder to do this on the computer than it is in the actual calculator. And then Y is 8, 14, 23, 29, 40, oops, 53, and 70. So now once we put those data in, instead of going to stat calc 4 for linear, we're going to do stat calc. Now instead of 4, linear, we're going to do quadratic regression. Instead of linear regression, it's not a line, it's a quadratic. So you're going to go arrow down or press the number 5. Enter until you can't no more. So now it gives you your A, your B, and your C. And if you remember, in standard form of a quadratic equation, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. So now I'm just plugging in for A, B, and C. So I have y equals, A was about 1.19 x squared minus 3.13x plus 8.33. So there's our equation. And again, the only difference, instead of stat calc 4, it's stat calc 5. Then it says if x is 4, what is the value of y? So all you're doing is, in this equation that we just wrote, everywhere you see an x, we're going to plug in 4. The other way to do this is to use your calculator. And if you go to y equals in your calculator, you can plug in the equation we just got. So 1.19 x squared minus 3.13 x plus 8.33. And then you can press second graph and it'll show you a table of values. So it'll tell you, hey, when x is 0, it's 8.33. When x is 1, it's this. But we want to know when x is 4. So when x is 4, it's 14.85. 14.85. And again, all we did was plug in 4 where everything was. Oops, I'm writing with a highlighter. 14.85. Okay, let's try the next one. Again, this time, instead of stat calc 4, stat calc 5. Everything else is the same. So I'm going to go ahead and clear my calculator because it's easier than clearing all the numbers. Plus 7. 1, 2, enter. So I'm going to plug in L1 is this row, L2 is that row. So go ahead and plug in your numbers while I plug in my numbers. Stat, enter. L1, I'm putting in 4.7, enter. 6.7, enter. 8.5, enter. And then I'm going to move on to my L2. So I'm going to arrow over, and I'm going to put in 32, 17, negative 27, negative 94, negative 193, negative 321, and negative 499. Enter. And again, instead of doing stat calc 4, we're doing stat calc 5. Stat, arrow over to calc, and we're doing quadratic regression. These are quadratic. So press 5 and then enter until you get to the next screen. There's our A, B, and our C. And again, I'm just going to round to the nearest hundredth, so I don't have to write the rest of it all down. So let's go back over here. My equation is y equals negative 4.64-ish x squared plus 50.89x minus 113.44. And again, it asks for the value of y when x is 4. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to plug in 4. And again, I think the easiest way, instead of plugging all this in, is to do it on your calculator. So I'm going to go to my calculator, press y equals. I'm going to plug in the equation I just did. Negative 4.64x squared plus 50.89x minus 113.44. Then again, I'm going to go over to second graph. It gives me a table of values. I can find all the table of values I want. And I'm looking for 4. At 4, it's 15 point, oops, starting with the highlighter again, 15.88. And if you notice, what can you tell me about the two we've done so far? This first one we did, the parabola we know is positive because our A, this number here, is positive. So this is an upward facing parabola. This one, the A is negative. So this is a downward facing parabola. Let's look at this one and see what it is. Nope, y'all couldn't even see all that. Sorry. All I said was this first one was up because of the A here, and the second one was facing downward because the A is negative. The A is positive, it's facing up. A is down, it's negative. So if we look at this next one, I'm going to do the same thing again. Stat calc 5. Go to my calculator. Again, I'm just going to clear it. Second plus 7, 1, 2, enter. Okay, so I'm going to go to Stat, enter. L1, I'm putting in 1, enter, 2, enter, 2.75, enter, 4, enter, 4.5, enter, 6, enter, 8, 8.4, and 9. Then I'm going to scroll over to L2. 90, enter, 228, 303, 384, 406, 396, 282, 229. Oh, delete. Did I get 282 in there? 282. Then we had 229. And then we had 135. Enter. Stat, over to calc. 5 for quadratic regression. Enter until we can't no more. And again, I get my A, my B, and my C. So I'm going to go back over here. Whoop, where I'm going to hide it. There we go. I'm going to go back over here. The equation I got was y equals negative 18.43x squared plus 191.44x minus 83.36. And it says how much should the company sell the product for to maximize revenue. We want to maximize the revenue. Well, if you notice, let's look at the properties of this. This is going to be facing downward because of the negative A. So if it's facing downward, maximize, the biggest one it's going to be, this is a max, the vertex is a max, is right here. So to maximize revenue, I just need to find the vertex of this parabola. That would be the best thing to do. And you can do that on your calculator. However, I think the easiest way to do this would be on Desmos. So I'm going to pull up Desmos for us. And I'm going to plug in what we got. Y equals negative 18.43x squared plus 191.44x minus 83.36. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out because I can't see what's going on. Zoom, zoom. And if you can see, it's going this way, and right here is my vertex. So if you look, if it's asking how much should the company sell the product for maximum revenue, well, then we need to look at the price, which is X. So they should sell the product for this, the X value, 5.19, the vertex. Okay, going back here to our notes. Whoops, let me scroll over here. Let's look at number 4. Ooh, fun. So this one, determine if these data sets are linear, quadratic, or exponential. Then find the regression of the equation. So if you look, it wants to determine if these data sets are linear, quadratic, or equation. So the best way to do this, and then is what you want to do is plug in this to get the equation. You want to find the equation of what's going on. When you find the equation of this data set, you'll be able to know, well, what parent function is it looking like? Does it have an x squared? Is it a parabola? Does it have an x as the exponent? So the best thing to do is do what we were doing and find the equation. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. A lot of back and forth. Second plus 7, 1, 2. You don't have to clear it every time. It's just easier when I put this many data sets in there. So I'm going to press Stat, Enter. In L1, I'm putting in -2, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And L2, I'm putting in -5.75, 1, 6.25, 10, 12.25, 13, 12.25. I can already tell you what this one's going to be. 10 and 6.25. So after we put that in, we're going to, if you've already noticed looking at these, it's probably easier to see over here. Some of the numbers are repeating. So if they're repeating, they're saying like at 6, it's 12.25, and at 10, it's 12.25. At 4, it's 10. At 12, it's 10. Well, is a linear going to do that? Is that going to happen? There's only one of those that's going to happen for that. I'll give you a hint. It makes a U. So if you look, oops, we're going to do stat. Now, you don't know which one to do because of, like you can look and see, hey, these are the same, so I'm pretty sure it's a parabola. Now, you don't know which one to do, so the best way to do it would go to y equals from here. And then you're going to go up to plot 1. You're going to press Enter and hit Graph. And what you want to do is to change the window, you're going to hit Zoom Stat. Zoom Stat. Whoops. Go back. Y equals plot 1, graph, zoom. And it's number 9 down here, zoom stat. Ooh, I'm going to press too much. Number 9, zoom stat. And now you can see what's going on when we've plotted all the points. So if you didn't know right away from the points, now you can see all the points plotted on your calculator, and you can tell what it's doing. Well, what is it doing? It's making an upside down parabola like we thought. So now you can go back to stat, enter, and now you can do stat calc, and you can pick, instead of a line, a linear equation, you can pick 5 for quadratic, because that's what our graph looked like, remember? And then enter, enter, enter. Ta-da! There's our A, there's our B, and there's our C. So if we go back to our notes, we determined to determine if this is, let's write down all that stuff I just did on the calculator so you have something to go back to. Oops. Ta-da. To determine this stuff, here's what you do. Ready? You press Stat, Enter. Then you enter numbers, so L1, L2. Then you press Y equals, go up to plot 1. Then you're going to press Enter. Then hit Graph. So those are the steps to get the graph of what's going on. Is it making a line? Is it making a parabola? What's going on with it? So after you figure out that part, after you've graphed it, we knew this one was a quadratic. Then you find the regression. So if it were linear, we'd do stat calc 4. For quadratic, we do stat calc 5. Exponential, stat calc 0. And we already found the equation, because then we went back and did stat calc 5. And we got y equals negative 0.19 x squared plus 3x plus 1. So let's try it again. Let's do those steps again, because I know it's a lot of new. So again, we don't know what's going on here with the graph. We've got to figure out what's happening. So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to clear it. 2 plus 7, 1, 2, enter. And I'm going to go to Stat, Enter. Come on. Stat, Enter. There we go. And I'm going to plug in all of my points. I'm plugging in x into L1, 2.7, negative 1.9, negative 0.9, 0, 0.9, 1.9, and 2.7. Then I'm going to go over to L2, negative 13, negative 8, negative 6, negative 4, negative 5, negative 8, negative 13. Now, we're going to go to, did I miss one? I missed one somewhere. Negative 13, negative 8, negative 6, negative 4, negative 5, negative, oh, I just didn't enter on 13. Sorry. Okay, then you're going to go to y equals. We're going to plug in what we put in plot 1. So go up to plot 1. Press Enter. Then we're going to press Graph. This one you can kind of see. If you do want it to fit to your screen, you can hit Zoom 9. Zoom 9. And it will fit to your screen again. Zoom 9, fit to screen. So fit to screen is Zoom 9. So if you look, what's happening here? It's making a U again. It's a parabola. It's quadratic, so we're doing stat calc 5. So now I go back to my calculator. Oh, and I was writing those over here, sorry. I go back to my calculator, and I'm going to press Stat, Enter. I have my data again. It's already there. This time Stat, over to Calc 5. Enter until you get to the next screen. There's my A, there's my B, There's my c. There it all is. So when I go to write it down, I've got y equals negative 1.18x squared plus 0.04x minus 4.18. There's my equation. So not too bad. Number last, here we go. All of it's calculator work, y'all. It's really not a whole lot of handwritten things. So let's do the last one on our calculator. Call it good. Second plus 7, 1, 2, enter. I'm gonna go to stat, enter. Plug in my numbers. At least there's not that many to plug in. Then I'm going to go to negative 7.2, enter. So not hard, just some tedious stuff you've got to plug into your calculator, but thankfully y'all don't have to do it by hand. Yay! So then, after we plug this in again, we've got to see what the graph's doing. Is it looking like a line? Is it looking like an exponential function? Is it looking like a parabola? What's going on? So I go to y equals, go up to plot 1, enter, graph. And then I'm going to zoom to see what's happening, because right now it looks like a line. However, something else could be funky going on over here. So I'm going to zoom 9. And what do you know? Those are all the points. So it made a line. So in this case, it is linear, which means I'm doing stat calc 4, like you're used to. We've been doing all year long instead of stat calc 5. So if I go back to my calculator, I have my information already in here. And this time I'm pressing stat over to calc 4. Enter until you can't no more. Y'all should be pros at this. Ta-da! There, whoop, maybe. So my slope is 4, and my y-intercept is negative 11.6. Slope is 4x minus 11.6. There you go. Again, it's all calculator. Download that calculator app. It is so useful, and it's free right now. So get that calculator app downloaded. It's still on my Google Classroom. Go find it. Click on the link to download it. Thanks for listening, y'all. Bye.